Welcome to MyShliach Story Hour Chassidim series. All right, two stories of Reb Shmuel Munkes today. The first one takes us again to the city of the Yozne. Reb Shmuel Munkes is hanging around outside the room of the Alter Rebbe. And all of a sudden, a lady runs in, crying and yelling. It was her first time at the Alter Rebbe, but she never saw the Rebbe. She heard a lot about him. She heard that he was a big tzaddik and that he helped people and he gave brachas, and she was in desperate need for a bracha, for help. But she didn't know who the Alter Rebbe was, so she comes into the Alter Rebbe's Beis Medrash, and the first holy, spiritual, tzaddik-looking like individual that she saw happens to be none other than Reb Shmuel Munkes. And she starts to cry, Rebbe, help me. My daughter, she's giving birth, she's in labor, and she's having a very hard time. And the doctors don't know what's going to be. Rebbe, please give her a bracha. Please tell me what to do. Tell me what to say. Now, Reb Shmuel Munkes knows that the Alter Rebbe was not in the Beis Medrash at that time. So he thinks, what should he do? Should he tell the Alter Rebbe is not here? How's she going to feel? And she doesn't even know that she's not speaking to the Alter Rebbe. So Shmuel Munkes said, don't worry, I have an idea for you. Go home, take out a siddur. In the siddur, turn to the Yom Tif davening. And right before Musaf, on Yom Tif, there's a special tefillah there called Yiskar. Yiskar is a tefillah said by people that Rachmana litzlan don't have a tati or a mami. And they say this tefillah, they say it in shul to remember the neshama after Kriyas HaTorah, Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkot. And everybody that Baruch Hashem has parents leaves the shul. So a lot of adults, and Baruch Hashem, most of the kinderlach, they leave the shul. And whoever has to say Yiskar stays inside. And after they finish, the people, all the kinderlach, that Baruch Hashem have a father and a mother, and the adults that have father and mother come back into the shul to daven Musaf. So Reb Shmuel Munkes tells the lady, go home, say this tefillah of Yiskar 7 times, and I promise you, with Rebbe's help, everything's going to be okay. Oh, thank you, Rebbe, thank you. Thank you, Rebbe's on the bench, now I'm going to go home right away and say the tefillah of Yiskar. She goes home, and she takes the siddur. She does her thing. A short while later, this woman appears back in the Beis Medrash of the Alter Rebbe carrying a tray loaded with delicious delicacies, rugalach and 7-layer cake and kukish cake and mandelbrot and marble cake and sponge cake and cookies and every kind of delicious mezainis that you could imagine was on that tray for all the Chassidim to enjoy and make a bracha and say l'chaim mazel tov. Her daughter gave birth to a healthy child. And she right away comes and speaks to the Alter Rebbe's secretary that she wants to be able to go into Yechidus to the Alter Rebbe to thank the Alter Rebbe for the bracha that the Alter Rebbe gave her, that the child should be born healthy and safely. Well, we know, Kinderlach, it wasn't the Alter Rebbe that she spoke to. It was Reb Shmuel Munkes. But she didn't realize. She goes into the Alter Rebbe's room. Thank you, Rebbe. Thank you so much for telling me to say Yiskar 7 times. And before I even finished saying the Yiskar the 6th time, I didn't even say it 7 times yet. And Baruch Hashem, the child was born. Thank you, Rebbe, for the bracha. The Alter Rebbe listened to her and smiled. The Alter Rebbe gave a bracha for the child and for the mother. And she left. And right away, the Alter Rebbe sent his secretary to call Reb Shmuel Munkes into his Heilige Zimmer, because nobody would come up with this interesting idea to say the tefillah of Yiskar as a skula for a healthy birth. So Reb Shmuel Munkes comes to the Alter Rebbe, and the Alter Rebbe says, Reb Shmuel, where did you pick up this skula, this remedy that if you say Yiskar 7 times, the child's going to be okay? So what do you think Reb Shmuel Munkes answered? Rebbe, I made a simple cheshbon. If when we say Yizkor one time on Yom Tiv, all the kinderlach, and Baruch Hashem, a lot of the adults go running out of shul, could you imagine that if she's going to say Yizkor 7 times, this child is going to go running out to want to be born? That's why I gave her this takana, this skula, this remedy, and zastach it worked. Why did it work? Was Shmuel Munkes a Psahit and Tzaddik? He wouldn't tell you that. But Shmuel Munkes knew, very simple, if he's going to tell this lady that the Alter Rebbe is not here, how is she going to feel? How's she going to feel? Well, the situation's very bad. She's nervous. She's uptight. What's she going to do? It's not going to make her feel any better. One could speculate and say that Reb Shmuel Munkes knew that she has such a munas tzaddikim. She knows that a bracha from the Alter Rebbe, a bracha from a tzaddik, is for sure going to come true, and what the tzaddik tells her to do, she's going to do, and in that schus of a munas tzaddikim, she's going to have the bracha that she needs. So when Shmuel Munkes told her to do something, she wasn't doing it because Shmuel Munkes told her to do something. She was doing it because, as far as she was concerned, the Alter Rebbe told her to do it. And if the Rebbe zogt epis, we don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to us. The Rebbe says you should do it. That's what we do. The Rebbe vet gefinnen a weg. When the Rebbe tells us sometimes to seek the counsel and the advice of yedidim mevinim, of close friends, of people that know, a person can think to himself, I want to hear what the Rebbe is telling me. I don't want to go to somebody else and ask the other person's advice. I want to know, how do I know that that person's advice is the advice that the Rebbe was going to tell me? So there are many stories, and Mirz Hashem one day we'll talk about it, how little do you know that the Rebbe is literally giving that person the words to tell you in this situation. Just for whatever reason, the Rebbe doesn't want you to know that it's coming from the Rebbe. If we're doing something because we know this is the Hira from the Rebbe to do, if the Rebbe tells us to ask someone to follow the advice of a mashpia, right, to listen to our parents, listen to our mechanchim, not subconsciously, the Rebbe is giving them the right oisius that they should relate to us. We have to remember, as long as we're going in the way and believe and trust in Amunas Tzadikim and know that what the Rebbe tells us to do is the right thing, the Rebbe vet gefinnen a weg. Sometimes it's easy to be in the arum. It sounds good. It's nice to talk about. But a chassid always needs to have action, which takes us to another story of Reb Shmuel Munkes. Reb Shmuel Munkes was not a big gvir. He was not a very wealthy man. He was a chassid. Some gvirish chassidim, but their typical chassid was not a very, very wealthy individual. And like we heard many stories, Reb Shmuel Munkes lived every breathing moment so that he could spend some more time in the presence of the Alter Rebbe. And every time he left the Adi or he left Niyazna, he was always waiting and anticipating and yearning to return back to be in the Daled Amis of the Alter Rebbe. And so it was, one cold, wintry day, Reb Shmuel Munkes sets out on foot from his hometown to journey to the Alter Rebbe. High snow, not a problem. Big, strong, gusty winds, not a problem. Rain and slush and sleet, not a problem. Reb Shmuel Munkes is bundled up in his coat and his big Russian furry hat and his big leather boots, trudging through the snow, making his way over to the Alter Rebbe. However, it got really, really cold. And Baruch Hashem, there was a wagon driver that was passing by the road where Reb Shmuel Munkes was walking and sees this chassid freezing. His nose is red, his ears are purple. The words that he's saying as Tanya Balpeh are like freezing in the middle of the ear as they come out of his mouth. I don't know if it was Ad Kedei Kach, but maybe. And he offers him a ride. Rabid, come on board. Let me give you a ride, please. I'm heading over you. Which way are you going? Going to Yozne. Come on, my wagon. I give you a ride as well to Yozne. Come sit over here next to me. We'll talk while I schmeiß the horses and they go. Shekayach. And they get onto the wagon and they're traveling. Shmuel Munkes is freezing. He cannot feel his fingers, his toes. They are frozen. You ever been in a situation like that where it's so cold? You can't feel your nose anymore. It feels like it fell off. But this was even colder. And Shmuel Munkes turns behind the seat of the wagon driver, and he sees the whole back of the wagon is filled with big, big barrels. So Reb Shmuel says, Rabbi, do you mind if I climb in the back and I sit in between the barrels? This way, I don't have the wind blowing on me and making me even colder. The barrels can serve as like a wall, a barrier to block the wind, and maybe I'll be able to warm up. Please, be my guest. Please climb over here and make yourself comfortable and very bequem in the back of the wagon over here. And enjoy it, please. Okay, if you need anything, please let me know. And enjoying my taxi service. I'm not really taxi. I'm just delivering man. I have to be delivering all these barrels, but I have it. And if you want to warm yourself up here in the back, it's okay. So Shmuel Munkes climbs in the back, and he's trying to warm up, trying to get warm, but it's not warming up. And Shmuel Munkes turns to the wagon driver and says, Rabbi, you mind, what's in these barrels? Like, it's a lot of them. What are you carrying? Oh, what I carrying? I have big shipment delivery of vodka, of mashke, and I deliver it to the town next to Liazne, so I take it. But sometimes, if I need to take drink, well, it's very, very cold, I take some mashke for a drink. Really? The Shmuel Munkes says, do you mind if I pour myself a cup of mashke to warm myself up? Because mashke, alcohol, is a very sharp taste. When a person drinks it, especially when you say l'chaim, right? You see your tati or someone by a fabring and he says l'chaim, makes up a funny face because it doesn't taste good. It's worse than sour. It's not like sour sticks. It's a very sharp taste, but it warms up the person's insides. It makes them warm. So if Shmuel Munkes says, can I please take a little bit of the mashke and it'll warm me up from the inside. I won't feel like I'm so cold. Sure, no problem. Here, nema glazel, have a little cup. You're drinking. Why don't you fill one up for me? A Yid doesn't drink by himself. A guy goes to a bar and drinks mashke and vodka by himself. We're not that two Chassidim. We sit together, we fill up some mashke, we say l'chaim, we give each other brachas. That's what we'll do. So he fills up a cup of mashke. He makes a bracha shahakel, he says l'chaim, and he drinks it, and he gets warmed up. Short while later, they arrive by the Alter Rebbe, and Reb Shmuel Munkes goes in for Yechidus by the Alter Rebbe. But when he starts the Yechidus, he right away tells the Alter Rebbe the whole situation that happened. That he was walking to the Alter Rebbe, and that it was cold, and he met this Yid, and the Yid gave him a ride, and then he was still cold, so he tried to go into between the barrels to warm himself up, and he was still cold, until he said a little bit l'chaim from the mashke, and it warmed his insides. He felt better. And Reb Shmuel Munkes said, Rebbe, you taught us that the Baal Shem Tov said that jeder Zach was me zet me hert, anything a Yid sees or hears, he has to learn, he has to take a lesson, he has to take a hira and avodas Hashem for his day-to-day life. Nothing happens by accidents. You see something, you hear a story, you understand something, you have to apply it to yourself. How can this help me grow in my avodas Hashem? And Shmuel Munkes says, I learned a powerful lesson. And I think, Taira Kindalach, we can learn this lesson as well. It's not enough to be on the wagon that has a lot of barrels of mashke. It's not enough to be surrounded by the barrels of mashke. It's not going to make you warm. You have to take some of it inside. I'm not saying you should go ahead and start drinking mashke. His lesson was, it's not enough that you know a lot of Torah. You can even know a lot of Chassidus. It's not enough that you surround yourself by people that know a lot of Torah and know a lot of Chassidus and that are very good people. That's not enough. It's not going to change you. You have to take a little bit inside yourself. You have to have the Chassidus that you learn come down from an intellectual study, from something that just is nice to know, something that's nice to learn, to get points for Tanya and Baal Peh. And that's also very important. I'm not chas v'shalom saying that's not important, but we also have to apply it to ourselves. When you take it inside with an emes and you start to live with it, and you say, I learned this sikha, I learned this maimer. Sometimes someone could say, I learned the sikha of the Rebbe. Or when you get older, I learned the maimer of the Rebbe, and it doesn't talk to me. I don't feel more connected to the Rebbe. My teacher gave me a dvar Torah, a sikha from the Rebbe, the chazer over by the Shabbos table, and it doesn't talk to me. I don't feel inspired. I don't feel like I'm a changed person. So that means that this doesn't work. This doesn't talk to me. I don't feel this doesn't help me build a connection to the Rebbe. And that person really means it. But you know what the problem is? He didn't do it right. We know for a fact, the Rebbe says, Nayim Yaim, Hiskashrus Hamiti Hi Ayidei Limut. The way to be connected to the Rebbe and to feel a connection to the Rebbe is through learning the Rebbe's Torah. The guy's going to say, I learned the Rebbe's Torah, I learned the Sichas, I learned the Maimarim, I don't feel a connection. Maybe you didn't learn enough. It's somebody that says, I drank mashke and I didn't get shikr. So one or two things happened. Either he didn't drink the mashke or he didn't drink enough mashke. Because if the guy drinks it enough, he's going to get shikr. A guy says, I ate candy and I didn't get hyper. Well, either you didn't eat the candy or you didn't eat enough candy. I walked outside without a coat in the winter and I went running and I didn't catch a cold. Maybe you didn't do it long enough. But some things are guaranteed. If you do it right, this is what's going to happen. A person has to be ibegeben to learning the Rebbe's Torah, to learning Chassidus as Chassidim. This is who we are. And if you feel one Sikha didn't do it for you, one Maimer didn't do it for you, one Vartera didn't do it for you, one video of the Rebbe didn't do it for you, maybe you have to up the dose and take a little more. It's not enough to be around and go through the motions and be surrounded by the barrels. No, Reb Shmuel Munkes said, that doesn't work. Doesn't work. If you want to have environment, if you want to be warm, if you want to have that Chassidishe environment, you got to take it inside. You got to mean it. You got to feel it. You got to live it. Day in and day out. Learn a vart from the Rebbe. Watch a video from the Rebbe. Sing a niggin of the Rebbe. Have a conversation about whatever it is. You got to take it inside. That's Chassidim, who we are. Living with the Rebbe every day, every moment. And thinking, what would the Rebbe want me to do in this moment? How can I make the Rebbe proud? How can I bring Mashiach one step closer? Don't just be around the people. Don't just go through the motions. Take it inside. Live it. Live it, learn it, love it. That's how it goes.